Hey guys, thanks for joining me tonight. The stream is acting a little crazy tonight, so let me get started and thank everybody for joining me. I actually hope you're hearing me. Not certain how this is going to go tonight. It's a little crazy. So let me just welcome everybody to the show tonight. So, Catherine Lynn, welcome. Doug with them, welcome. Jackie Kramer Sprague, welcome. Marie Withers, welcome. James Corbett, welcome. Clayton Orwig, welcome. Charlotte Gellert, Jill Oden, welcome to the show tonight, guys. Um, this is crazy this week. This show is, Al and I were talking about the other day because we're going to do an election show Tuesday night, and he was talking about Restream has really been like it's my internet stream. When I'm here at the office, I definitely know it's the Restream internet because they have really here at the office, and I've checked the speed and such a little bit ago. Nothing to do with the internet, so it's the Restream acting a little crazy. But I want to just thank all you guys for joining me tonight. I might do a little bit of different type of shite with election coming up on Tuesday. I might ask some questions. I'd love to get some interaction from the audience tonight. Um, you know, uh, are you guys about Tuesday's election and have all you have you got cutting it out a bit? Yeah, and I can do that about that cutting it. That's not it's not the internet. It's the streaming service. So sorry about that. And also, I mean, I'm not certain which is doing better, but anybody that's on my personal channel, the Larry Cox channel, you can actually the YouTube or the This Week from Rockdale, and you'll be able to comment in the chat. But if you go to if you are on the Larry Cox book, you will not be seen in the chat. So let me just ask, are you guys excited about Tuesday and the elections and what's going on? And have a lot of you guys early voted? And I vote in person. I vote early in person. I don't do the absentee ballot, the mail-in. I do in-person voting. I believe in person is the most you vote, no matter if you do it early or on election day. In person secures that you are the person casting your ballot. Just the mail-in ballot really knowing things that happened last election and previous elections, and and anyone who was ran for the Secretary of State or has been Secretary of State or is someone who will admit to the potential of voting irregularities or fraud, they will point blank tell you that those irregularities are most likely to occur with absentee mail-in balloting. That in-person voting, whether it's early or on election day, is pretty safe and secure, and you're pretty much assured that vote is going to be counted the way it's supposed to. So just wanted to talk about that a little bit, and just and we've got the people. You guys are telling us, Dan Burt's early in person. Going to vote in person on Tuesday. Mary Boysworth is going to, and then Jackie Sprague in person on Tuesday. So don't forget to get out and do that. And then if you guys if you've been following a lot about the United Congress is no matter which side of the polling aisles they're on, left, right, neutral, central. I mean, I think they're all in agreement at this point that they expect the Republicans to take control of the House of Representatives, and the Senate is still up for grabs. So If you've got a favorite in that Senate race, I recommend you get out and vote. Um, you get out and cast your vote because that race is really going to matter at the end of the day. And that race could end up determining control of the United States Senate, just like it did back in 2020. So I encourage everybody that's listening to the show, get out and vote because your vote can make a difference. Because I think it's going to be a very small margin that separates those two individuals running for the United States Senate, and it actually could go to a runoff. Um, I do not believe the governor's race is going to go to a runoff. I believe that one's going to be decided on election night. I actually look at the only race that I believe has the potential for runoff is the United States Senate race. I believe the rest of the races will be determined on election night. And if you're, just going to say it out there, I look for it to be a good night for Republicans in the state of Georgia on Tuesday night. And that's just the way I see it and the way it looks like it's going to play out right now with the way numbers are coming in, what numbers have voted and what's remaining that people will vote. There should be a heavy Republican vote on election day, which there usually is. The folks that decide to go on election day, it's a large Republican vote, and we can look for Republicans to do very well on election day in the state of Georgia. And I think that's going to translate into victories Tuesday nights for Republican statewide candidates for the state of Georgia. So that's the way I see it. I do think there'll be some surprises nationally. I think you're going to have some Republicans that are going to win races that they said they shouldn't, but I also think you're going to have some Democrats win some races nationally that are going to surprise people also. So I think we're going to have a mixed bag nationally, but overall nationally, I do think Republicans are going to have a really good night. And let's talk about why I think that they're going to have a good night. I think they're going to have a good night because it comes down to a couple of issues. It's going to come down to the economy and inflation. And at this time, that is the number one thing that are on voters' minds as they go and vote. It is the economy and inflation, and what that means to your pocketbooks. So that's going to be very interesting. I mean, and we're going to have these conversations Tuesday night when we do our election night show. Election night show is always a good night. So I know right now, Alex is planning on myself and Alex and Danielle and the Brush Fire Mind. So I think it's going to be a very interesting evening. If you get offended politically easily, I don't recommend you to watch the show because Alex and Chris, they'll just throw out what they think. And if Alex is watching tonight, he'll point blank tell you, if you're easily offended, might not be the show for you to watch on Tuesday night. Just going to be real with you about that. So, I tried a lot of times, talk with kid gloves about this and, be a little more sensitive. But those two guys are not going to, they're not going to care about hurting your feelings. So I'm just going to throw a warning out there right now. If you're politically sensitive, it's really not going to be the show for you to watch. Just going to be totally factual. Dan wants to know what time the show. I think Alex had looked for the show to start around 9:00. So my intentions are actually to go to early voting. I mean, to go to the Rockdale County voting thing when it closes at 7. So I'm going to go get. I will be able to get a few printouts, and we'll have some printouts, and I'll share those with Alex, and he'll be able to put some numbers up of some local stuff and everything. Alex just said he's not on YouTube, so the gloves are off. So Alex, you noticed tonight. I've given everybody a fair warning that that if they're really sensitive, that's not the show for them. And I think Danny will chime in there and agree with me. If you're subject to get butt hurt, uh, don't tune into the show Tuesday night, because I think it could be an interesting show Tuesday night. I think Alex and Chris are going to get really fired up and just tell you what they think. Like I said, now, I mean, I'll tell you guys what I believe and what I think, but I may be not as harsh as those guys on these topics. Like I said, but it's refreshing, to have a couple of guys that'll just, point blank putting it out there. Uh, Danielle says uh, she's liable to get her feelings hurt that night. So, so I mean, I'm just telling you guys, it's going to be. I'm going to enjoy the heck out of it, because anytime we've done an election show, I have really enjoyed it. Oh, then exactly, Alex. You're not going to be offensive, but it's going to be that truth thing, and that truth thing really sometimes gets under a lot of people's nerve when you're talking the truth, and you're not trying to sugarcoat something, or you're not actually trying to put a slant on it, and you're just saying reality. This is what it is. I saw some interesting polling numbers, Alex, and you may have saw those, that they polled rank and file Democrats and Republicans and asked them what they felt would happen. The number one thing that both thought would happen if either party's in charge. 81% of Democrats believe that Republicans will destroy the country. 79% of Republicans believe that if Democrats are in charge, they will destroy the country. So you're looking at 80% of the rank and file of both parties actually believe that the other party will destroy the country if they're in charge. So that's why you've got this party polarization. There's no bipartisan cooperation. It's very partisan politics right now. So that's why you've got this tendency that people will get their feelings hurt. So I mean, there's not a lot of common ground right now that people are willing to navigate to, so that we can have nonpartisan and middle of the road discussions. Um, that's just true. I mean, it's reality, and I think we'll talk some about Tuesday about some comments that were made a couple of years ago when Democrats took charge of everything, and Alex made us, just an analysis at that time, and I think most of us agreed with it, uh, that Republicans, and specifically moderates that sort of set in that in between, that they may need to feel some economic hardship and pain to realize what side of the fence they need to sit on. And that's happened. I mean, the last 2 years, if people don't admit there's been some economic hardship and there's been some pain that taxpayers have went through, and just as far as purchasers, just as far as individuals, taxpayers, money earners. I mean, your dollar doesn't go as far today as it did 2 years ago. And that's one of the questions that politicians running for president will ask most. The common thing that a lot of times they'll say, are you better off now 4 years ago than you were today? And this is the question one needs to ask. Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago? And no matter what political affiliation you belong to, honestly answer that question. If you honestly answer that question, the answer will be no, I am not better off today than I was 2 years ago. And that's reality. And and that's just something that I think we need to look at. Clayton, it's going to be a combination. I mean, I think I can't talk for Alex. For me, I'll be interested in some of the state stuff. There's really locally not much for us to focus on because locally, the Democrats are going to win everything, and there's a couple of opposed House seats in Rockdale County. Those are going to go to the Democrats. Most of the Democrats ran unopposed. So locally, um, there's not going to be a lot to talk about because those things are already settled. Because when somebody went in and voted for themselves, they won. But statewide and nationally, that's really the conversation for Tuesday night. Tuesday night is going to be, Brian Kemp, Herschel Walker, and then these other down ballot offices and how that trends, and how that goes into alignment with the national scene. Because I mean, those are the big focus that we really need to look at is what will happen when one, if let's just say the House flips to the Republicans, which I think there's not only anybody on the planet right now saying that's not going to happen. And like that Senate is still a toss up. And what does that look like? I mean, I know what it looks like. I mean, whether the Republicans win both houses or one house, it's gridlock because you have to get something through both houses for it to go to the president's desk for a signature. So I think you'll see a lot more of these of the executive order type thing going on because let's be real, the last 2 years of President Trump's administration, when he didn't have control of the House, that's exactly what we had going on. We had President Trump doing a lot of executive orders, and I'm going to be frank, I'm not a fan of the executive order path because it circumvents the electoral process. It circumvents our representation, and that I don't think that was the intent of our founding fathers, is for the executive branch to circumvent or bypass the elected branch. So that's the way it is. So yeah, Alex just answered, and realistically, the local stuff is really not relevant because they're unopposed, and a couple of them that do have opposition, they're in like 80% Democrat districts, and there is no chance on the planet, even with divine intervention, that anyone other than one of those guys is going to lose running against a Republican in one of those two districts. So that's 100%. And let you know. But yeah, but Alex is right. I will watch the local stuff and let you know, but it's not going to be a main focus because, like I said, I think there's only 2 contested races. The rest of them are uncontested, and the 2 contested ones are, going to be, it's going to be ugly. One of the House races, that person didn't even campaign, and we've got the Senate race, and our senator candidate did run somewhat of a race, but it is just such an uphill battle with it being 75-80% Democrat percentage wise for the voters. It's just unrealistic to think that something like that with a DR race is going to result with any other than a Democrat win. But the things to watch are the governor's race. Okay. This week from Rockdale will be on Facebook. Yeah, we will not be on YouTube. Even if Alex does the restream, I am going to disable the YouTube stream so that we don't get in trouble, because Alex has informed me that if I circumvent the rules where he got the big hook from the YouTube, that if I would attempt to circumvent that, then that I would most likely get the ban too for breaking the rules or some sort of consequences. So what we'll do, even if I use Restream, I can go in and disable the YouTube, and that's what I will do. I will disable the YouTube and just stream on this. and that's what we'll do. So, but that, like I said, it's going to be a really good show. I really have enjoyed any of these election shows we've done. And like Alex just said, focusing on Georgia, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Arizona. Alex, I don't know if you have seen this or not, but New Hampshire is now in play again from what we're gathering. And the Republican Senatorial Committee pumping money into that. Some of the polling has actually shown that race to be a +1 Republican race now in New Hampshire. So, and it makes sense from what they're seeing in the New England races there of how there are like 10 or 12 contested Democrat House races and such in that area, that it would make sense that the New Hampshire Senate seat would be in play. So, yeah, Alex did see that. So that would be interesting, because I did read an article today that said that, people are looking at, the 4 states Alex mentioned, but at the end of the day, New Hampshire could be the sneaky little state that decides something at the end of the day. So, I mean, I think that's, and then it's interesting. I mean, with this kind of climate, you've got this turbulent economy, things can happen. I mean, especially when you look at historical data, when a president's polling numbers are as low as former Vice President Biden's polling numbers are, it doesn't fare well for that president's party. The historical average is a 40-seat turnover in Congress when the president's approval ratings are as low as Biden's are at this time. So it's going to be very interesting. Alex, he's glad he moved to America, if not for one reason: election night politics. Politics. Yeah, I agree. It's election night is exciting in America. You never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to happen. I mean, and it's going to be, very interesting. So I think that Georgia is going to be a very interesting state to watch, because I think, if what we think is going to happen to Stacey Abrams, this could be the end of Stacey Abrams' political career in Georgia. Not saying it's going to be the end of her political career nationally, because I think she's going to run for president no matter what happens here in Georgia. But I think this could finish up Stacey nationally. And then I think some of the numbers we need to look at in Georgia are going to be telltale signs too. I mean, we've been, hearing things and looking at polling numbers that show that Hispanic voters are starting to shift away from the Democrats here in Georgia. We're seeing that they're actually losing their big grip on the African American community. Some African American of the community is shifting to that. So it's going to be very interesting. So, and then Alex, I think it will be interesting. Also, I think we need to talk a little bit about Speaker Ralston and in his not seeking election back as the speaker again. So that's going to, Speaker Ralston's been a very powerful speaker here in the state of Georgia, and no matter who gets that speakership, they're not going to come in with that power that David Ralston had. And then there's another factor: if the governor intervenes and helps push an individual into that speakership, then there is some talk about how that would make. I think the talk is that Governor Kemp would be the most powerful governor in the state of Georgia for like 40 years. That he would have that kind of influence as far as it goes. So David Ralston is absolutely being a very powerful Democrat. So that's funny, Alex. I like that. But I think that as we see that, if the governor does that and helps, get that speakership, and then that indebtedness is to the governor will have a lot more sway with the speaker. And, when you've got the executive and one of those branches in your pocket as governor, then you have got a lot of power about what's going to come in and out of that legislative body during legislative session. So I do look for the governor to wield his power and attempt to sway that caucus election for the Speaker of the House. So we'll goes, and that's going to be very, very interesting as we move forward with that, as Ralston will be not seeking that speakership again. So I think we got a lot to talk about, and it's very interesting. So I'm pleased with what's going to go on Tuesday night. I'm excited about that show, and like I said, I encourage you guys, if you're not faint of heart and you're not worried about getting your feelings hurt, then come watch. I mean, I encourage you. I think it's going to be informative, and I think you'll learn quite a bit that night. I really think you will. So let me move on a little bit and just talk about a couple things local. So, guys, we're still collecting those signatures for the House Bill 1102, and just going to give y'all just a brief little thing. I believe right now they're close to, we're close to 1,600 or above 1,600 signatures for that right now. So, and then I know we're going to do the collecting signatures on Tuesday on Election Day. They will be collecting them. There's still some early voting going to go on at West Avenue, and then some folks are going to be collecting at some of the precincts. So that will go on Tuesday. Then we will compile all those numbers, and we will give you a count. Hopefully everything goes well. We might have 2,000 signatures by the end of Tuesday evening, and we can report to you on the midweek show on Wednesday. And that would be fantastic if we're able to do that. And just to let you know, here in a couple of weeks, the Rockdale voter will begin their campaign of collecting, going door to door on Saturday. So we will be putting that out there, that the Rockdale voter will be doing door to door collection of signatures for this 1102. Like I said, we come out of this election cycle with a couple thousand signatures, guys. Then we know what we're right there on the cuff of getting this done, and then the door to door campaign. Like I said, we'll need to turn these in by June to get that on the June of 23 to be on the November 23 ballot. Because it'll be a special election. We will be having city municipal elections for the Old Town and Conyers precincts, and then we will have special elections for the rest of the precincts for that. But I am very, very confident we come out of this with 2,000 signatures in this 3-week cycle, guys, that we will get the 3,000 additional signatures that we need between then and June, and then it'll be on, guys. It'll be you, the citizens of Rockdale County, will have taken matters into your own hands and reduced your own property taxes through the host legislation. So can't take my hat off enough, and I'm not a hat wearer, so so I can't. You guys are the guys doing this. It's the citizens of Rockdale County that have had enough. And I've been out there some when they're collecting these signatures, and this is not a party line issue. So I just earlier talked about all the partisan politics and party line, but there's one thing that I've noticed when it comes to taxation. If you're a Democrat or a Republican, you don't want to pay a lot of taxes. So, and that's what I've been hearing all these people say is, I need to lower my taxes. My taxes need lowered. So, and it's great to see that this transcends party line. It actually does. When you hear these folks talk about this, it transcends party lines. It goes past party lines. So that's great to see that we can come together on some issues. And I'm glad to see that that's happening here in Rockdale County, that this host legislation is bringing people together. Also, I'm going to tell you, people have voting big time. I mean, that last amendment on that that is one thing that I will be watching carefully to report to, as far as the percent of individuals who voted for that senior exemption. Now, I looked at some census numbers here for Rockdale County. There are three age groups of people. There are three age groups of people that are the most significant amount of the significant amount of the population in Rockdale County. And they're all around 23, 24, 22, 23%, right? So 5 to 19, 22, 23%. 50 to 64 is right in that neighborhood. 65 and above is in that neighborhood. So actually so the 50 to 60 to 50 and above is the majority of the voting population in Rockdale County. So the senior group, and the biggest growth number in Rockdale County is the 50 to 64. So that means that people 50 to 64 who do not have kids, let me repeat that, 50 to 64, they are coming here empty nesters. They do not have kids. That is the largest population growth that there is in Rockdale County. It's 50 to 64-year-olds. So that goes along with the shrinking school system that we've seen, the downward enrollment trend. So if you've got the 50 to 64s are your largest group moving into the county, they're not bringing school-age kids with them. They're bringing themselves. So what I have said all along and predicted, a declining population in Rockdale County, and it's because that number one population group, the 5 to 19, will begin to shrink, because the growing population, the 50 to 64, will not be bringing any of the 5 to 19-year-olds with them. So that pool will begin to shrink as the 50 to 64s grows. Charlotte, I'll tell you what's bringing the empty nesters to Rockdale County. Bang for your buck in housing, because a lot of them, they are moving here from out of state. So as they move here from out of state and they sell their homes for $750,000 somewhere else, and they come to Rockdale County and they buy something between $250,000 and $350,000, then they're banking $300,000 to $500,000 from the sale of that home that they sold it, either in the Northeast or Northwest. So that's what's going on. So the empty nesters are coming here because they get a bigger bang for their buck. And then also, when the chairman and those characters talk about Rockdale County being perfectly located, it is perfectly located for a bedroom community just right outside of Atlanta. And that's why people come to Rockdale County. People come to Rockdale County not because they've got one of the best school systems in the county, because it doesn't. That reflects the 50 to 64-year-olds moving here. They don't come here because of the job market. That reflects the 50 to 64-year-olds moving here ready to retire. It doesn't have a mecca of business and fine dining and all that. But you know what? You're close enough that you can drive 30 minutes away and you can get that and still come back to your community. And Gail Owens mentions, and you're very close to a municipal airport, to not just one of the largest airports in the world, to travel easily anywhere you want to in the world. So Rockdale County, I believe, is perfectly located to be a bedroom community, and a bedroom community with limited business and job capabilities. And that's the reality of the community we live in. It's not the community that these characters are trying to sell it to be. And that's why I've mentioned many a time that in 24, we need to reset Rockdale. And how do we reset Rockdale? We reset Rockdale by on the local level dealing with issues like taxes we can all agree on. Just like I told you, you can observe when people were signing that host petition. Taxes, what amenities that we can provide. That Rockdale County is a great bedroom community. It would be a great place to live. We want to make sure we've got strong law enforcement. We want to make sure we've got infrastructure in place, water and sewer. We want to make sure that the fire protection is readily available. There are things that we need to look at, and we fund and budget those things. But then do we really need 20-some parks in the county? The answer is no, we don't. Not when we're looking at fine entertainment and dining being no more than 30 minutes away. Rockdale County is not going to be that kind of destination. Tina Hobbs asked me an interesting question. So you will have post one and you will have the chairman running in 2024. So, like I have stated previously, I will be running as an independent for the chairman's position in 2024. I personally believe the best way to defeat the chairman is through an independent run. I actually think the chairman has 53% of the support of the Democrat Party. Even though that's not, 60, 70, it's still 53%. It still gets him a primary win. And the chairman would defeat a Republican in the general election. My bad. 5 members of the BOE are up for election, Board of Education. You have 5 Board of Education members that are up in 2024. Every other year, that'll be on the ballot. In 2024, you will have 5. In 2026, you will have 2. Then back to 2028, you will have 4. But we will have 4 members of the BOE that are up for election in 2024. And then you will have post 1, and you have the chairman that are up for election in the BOC. So that's what we're looking at in Rockdale County in those elections. And that is the big local election year, is the presidential year in Rockdale County. The presidential year is the big local election year for Rockdale County. So that's going to be the year for people to pay attention and your vote make a difference on the local level. So I'll be able to talk more freely after this coming Tuesday about some things that I'm going to do. But I want to get through this election cycle here. And then I think that I will talk freely about some of the things that I'm going to do personally beginning next year. And I think, you guys deserve to know how I intend to handle a few things and what I intend to do with a few things as far as political affiliation and such. So I will, after Tuesday's election, I will feel free that I will be able to discuss a lot of that with you guys on the air, and I will do that. So, but I know this has been a little bit different show tonight, and and that's why the show is called This Week from. That's why I've decided, that the show is This Week from Rockdale, and I have forewarned people that I might not always talk solely about local issues, that we would be a 90% local show, but there would be times that I would talk about different things. Tonight was just one of those shows that I felt I needed to talk about what's going to happen Tuesday. I think it's just so important. It really is. Tuesday's election, I think, is one of the most important elections that we've had that we will have in decades nationally, that will impact this country. And I think it needed talked about, in this audience, needs to hear that. And like I said, I encourage you to watch if you think you can handle the truth. So, and you can handle Alex and Chris. So again, I want to thank everybody for watching tonight. I'm going to get off here this evening because I'm going to go home, and this clock setback thing, see how that works on me tonight. But I think that I look forward to being on the air Tuesday night and discussing a lot of the things that are going to go on about the additional $15,000 exemption for property taxes for the BOE. But I thank you guys for tuning in tonight. I thank you for being a loyal audience, and I do appreciate each and every one of you. And I do enjoy when I run into you guys on the street and into the events that we do. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of you again. And when we start asking for volunteers to do the signatures here in a few weeks, then don't hesitate. And Doug Witham, I'll get with you this week and talk to you about how to collect those signatures in your neighborhood. And you can come over to my office one day and we can go over it and I can get you lined up. So guys, thanks. Good night. I will see you Tuesday night on the special election edition. Thank you.